There were Germans, there was a couple of Italians, there were Swedes, there were Norwegians, there were English in the colony. And that was the struggle. Who are we? What's the identity? The default language was Dutch, so people here basically spoke Dutch. Of course, in 1643 there was a Jesuit who was here for a time, and he reported hearing 18 languages being spoken.
New York is called New York and not New Amsterdam like it used to be. The Dutch colony wasn't meant to last. It was weakened by internal struggle and a disregard for growing English power. New Amsterdam had basically been on a path to eventually becoming New York almost from its beginning. New Netherland and New Amsterdam were squeezed between two English colonies, Virginia in the south and New England in the north. But the English wanted it all. From Massachusetts to Virginia all the way to the west coast, even though it wasn't even known where that coast actually was. New Amsterdam's director, Peter Stuyvesant, was a confused bystander in all of this. He had shown his English buddies around his town only a few months before they returned with warships. The English were his buddies no more.
Peter Stuyvesant was on the fort, didn't want to, the ships were in the harbor, he didn't want to give up. His counselors advised him that in fact if he made them fight, then the town would be destroyed. So he relinquished the town, and New Amsterdam became New York, and Beverwijk became Albany. A lot of places remained the same. Haarlem is still Haarlem, and Staten Island, Long Island was named by the Dutch. I don't know if it's true, but real Long Islanders, the way they say Long Island is Long Island, which they say is a remnant of the Dutch pronunciation. It's still held there.
The reason why the English claimed the town is a convoluted mix of 17th century politics, religion, and the timeless hunger of men for more power and wealth. It mostly had to do with the Dutch Republic and England fighting over who was most powerful at the world stage.
Into the 1680s, there were still notaris in the Netherlands who were sending people here, and they would still write New Nederland. So they, as far as they were concerned, this New York thing wasn't very important.
Yet the vestiges of New York's past are still retained among the constructions of the present. Except some fun facts like Santa Claus being based on the Dutch Sinterklaas and words like cookie being there instead of biscuit, there are more important remnants of those Dutch years. New Amsterdam kick-started a multicultural nation with early forms of the American dream.
In the 19th century, when the great waves came from Europe, they came largely into New York and largely into this area, into the East Village. And they saw this mix of people and this, kind of free trade, free form sensibility, which was very different from Europe. And they thought it was America. But it wasn't America, it was New York. And it was New York because it had been New Amsterdam. But they took that with them when they moved west, because a lot of them stayed in these neighborhoods, but a lot of them went to Ohio, to Illinois, all the way to California. And so that's, I think, the real story of where we were earlier, of New Amsterdam, that sort of under the surface, that became part of first what New York was, and then through New York it became part of what America was. And that's why I think that's why I named my book what I did, and why for some of us, even after the banking crisis and 9/11, it's still the island at the center of the world. So, thank you.